Hey everybody, Deist here. Wanted to make another quick video on the probability of the universe. I've been getting a lot of comments lately from people that uh, have been saying, okay, well, you know, and as far as the dice throw and how I said the probability of the universe happening in cohesion with all the other constants and so on and so forth. If you watch the other probability videos, um, I get obviously more into depth with those in those videos than I am going to be able to here. Then I get in some of the comments. This has been verified by whom, and is this the scientific consensus? And everything that I use is the scientific consensus. Of course, you're going to get some atheists on here that say, well, that person's a creationist, so they think it's this and that. And I try to use a variety of different sources for the different videos that I use because you're not going to please everybody every time. But I can tell you right now, if you're not going to do any of the footwork or any of the reading on certain stuff for yourself, and I try to quote when I use people's stuff, and I don't quote mine. I give you the book and the page number it's on. But I'm not gonna respond to people that are lazy and they're intellectually lazy, and either that or they're just trolls and they just drop stupid things, and then when they don't have an answer for it, they drop the canned responses, which I use all the time as an example of canned responses. The invisible unicorn must have done it, or flying spaghetti monster, or well, you can't prove it, or then they go to pseudoscience, which is actually not even scientific at all, about multiverses and all this other stuff that's never been scientifically observed. Never mind to been shown to even exist. But I'm using the physics and the biology and the chemistry from the most prominent people in the fields of science in their respected fields that are out there to make the arguments that I use. Now, if you want to argue back with me, that's completely fine. But I'm not gonna respond to childish responses anymore that, like I said, are intellectually lazy. You can argue with the math, you can argue with the mathematics, you can argue with the chemistry, and you can argue with the biology, and you can argue that all day, and that's completely fine. And I appreciate that, but you better damn well give me some reasonable evidence why you think it's doesn't exist or whatever. I have people, well, you can't prove the physical constants of the universe and this and that. Listen, these are the cosmologists and the physicists that use that same fucking information to find out basically all the different stuff that you use in your arguments. And they're probably the same people that do it. So basically, I had, some people, and I actually had the Rob the Monk aide again saying about he didn't understand the probability. And when I use the word it's impossible, in mathematical terms, anything from 1 to 10 in the power of 50 is considered a probability of 0. In mathematics, and if you guys don't understand that, go Google it and look it up. It's considered a 0 probability. Okay? And then I had Rob the Monk asking me about, well, where are all these, because I said all these constants actually have to be in certain ratios with each other, or they don't work. And he's like, well, figure out that number. And actually, Roger Penrose, who is one of the most brilliant physicists ever in the history of the world. I'm sure some of you people out there are familiar with his work. He's non-religious. He's not an atheist or a theist or a deist or anything. He's non-religious. He states that in his biography. So I'm going to use him this time as a reference. If you guys don't know who Roger Penrose was, he was actually the person who showed that the collapse of a star could lead to the formation of a singularity. He's actually the one that has been known to rejuvenate Stephen Hawking back into science. And after he read about the formation of a singularity that he discovered, Roger Penrose, in 1965, he took that theory a step further, and it brought about the event of the Big Bang, suggesting that that came from a singularity, which is Big Bang cosmology as we know today. So if you have a problem with Roger Penrose, then you have a problem with the Big Bang theory, and you have a problem with his numbers, and, whatever. And I'm not saying that he's right, and I'm not using appeal to authority. I'm giving you the most credible source in the field, okay? A little bit more background on him. He's English mathematical physicist. He went to University of Oxford. He worked at Wadham College. He's known for many different things in the in the field. He's known for Penrose tilting, twistor theory, geometry of space-time, cosmic censorship, wild curvature hypothesis, on and on and on. I'll link you to his Wikipedia article. I mean, on his biography, you want. You can go look that up as well for yourself if, if you don't believe what I'm saying. Anyway, to get into my video a little bit more, considering that time flies when you're on here, I know sometimes I'm thinking about, oh, it's going to take 10 minutes to fill this, and 10 minutes goes by in a flash. So basically, if you watch my other videos, and what's been said in those, so far shows that there's an extraordinary balance among the forces that make human life possible in this universe, okay? The speed of the Big Bang explosion, the values of the four fundamental forces, all the other variables that I mentioned in my previous videos, which are all vital for existence, have been arranged according to an extraordinary precision. And this is not debatable. If these differed by a smaller amount, the universe would not exist, as we know. And people say, well, that's the only universe that we know because it exists the way we do. No, this is a life-sustaining universe that would sustain the type of life that we have. So now let's take a brief digression and consider the coincidental theory of materialism. Coincidence is a mathematical term, and the possibility of an event's occurrence can be calculated using the mathematics of probability, which I tried to state in my other videos, and then people are like, well, show me the numbers and this and that. So let's do it, okay? If you take all the physical variables into account, what is the likelihood of the universe giving us life coming into existence by coincidence? Is it 1 in a billion, or billions of billions, or trillions of trillions, or more? And Roger Penrose, who is the British mathematician and close friend of Stephen Hawking, wondered about this question, and he actually tried to calculate the probability. And Rob the Monk actually said, well, you can't show me the probability. And this is from Roger Penrose, okay? He took all of these into account, including what considered to be all the variables required for human beings to exist and live on a planet such as ours, and he computed the probability of this environment occurring among all the possible results of the Big Bang, okay? According to Roger Penrose, the odds against such an occurrence were in the order of 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123 to 1. Okay? So, let's take a closer look at that, because it's actually hard to imagine what this number even means. In math, the value of 10 to the power of 123 would mean 1 followed by 123 zeros. This is, by the way, more than the total of number of atoms, which is believed to be 10 to the power of 78 to exist in the whole universe, okay? But Penrose's answer is vastly much more than this. It requires 1 followed by 10 followed by to the power of 123 zeros. Or consider the number 1 to the power of 3 means 1,000, okay? So 10 to the power of 3 is a number that is 1 followed by 1,000 zeros. If there are 6 zeros, it's called a million. If 9, a billion. If 12, a trillion, and so on. There's not even a name for the number that has 1 followed by 10 to the power of 123 zeros. Okay? And this is why I said in practical terms, in mathematics, a probability of 1 in 10 to the power of 50 means 0 probability. Okay? Penrose's number is more than a trillion times less than that. In short, Penrose's number tells us that the accidental or coincidental creating the universe is an impossibility, okay? And this is a direct quote from Roger Penrose concerning the number that I just gave you out there. And this is his quote-unquote words. This now tells how precise the Creator's aim must have been, namely to an accuracy of 1 part in 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. This is an extraordinary figure. One could not possibly even write down the number in full in the ordinary denary notation. It would be 1 followed by 10 to the power of 123 successive zeros. Okay, now get this. Even if we were to write a 0 on each separate proton and on each separate neutron in the entire universe, and we could throw in all the other particles for good measure, we would still fall far short of writing down the figure needed. Okay? So, like I said, in mathematical terms, it's not a possibility, it's an impossibility. Okay? If you guys just want to think that it's all coincidental, that's completely fine. I use an unbiased source, used by pretty much all of the atheists I've ever seen out there that actually have the intellectual conversation, not the fucking canned spaghetti monster thrower idiots out there. But I'm sure that most of you guys actually would respect Penrose's work if you have any uh, understanding of what his contribution has been in the field of science and physics especially, and on some of the projects and theories and works that he's come up with. Anyway, I just wanted to go into a little bit more about when I use the word impossibility, mathematical impossibility, because according to mathematicians, 1 in 10 to the power of 50 is considered a mathematical impossibility. It's considered zero probability. Anyway, I'm running out of time here. I'll definitely field some of the questions. I'm going to throw the links in the sidebar over there to some of the sources I've used. Hey, if you want to, think it's all coincidental, that's completely fine too. According to math, there's a zero probability of it. You can use your spaghetti monster ones or multiverses or whatever. I'll use the numbers that most of the physicists and the cosmologists and the scientists and the biologists and chemists all use to figure out what they use, what their theories are today. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm almost out of time here. I hope all's well as usual. And until next time, think hard.